Okay, we're
It
good.
still doesn't look open in the front. Okay.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, good.
Okay.
All right. Thank you for coming today, Brad. Would you mind starting off with your full name, your date of birth, where you were born?
Brad
Basic.
Olsen, September 24th, 1959. Was born in Portland, Oregon. Born and pretty much raised in Milwaukie.
Okay. So you grew up here, you went to the usual schools?
Milwaukie Elementary, Rao, Clackamas High School.
Okay,
Yeah.
Clackamas.
Yeah.
Okay. And what did you do after high school?
I had lots of jobs that I had done. I've always worked for our company, for Olsen Brothers, but I used to throw freight for George LePepero at the Thriftway store in Damascus. I pulled radishes on Lake Road for when I was a little kid, and
Was that for the Chiriginos or for the series?
the Chiriginos.
Okay.
Yeah. So they always treated me good, and I was young. I was in 7th grade when I started there, and 7th and 8th grade.
That's great. Yeah, pulling radishes is one of my earliest memories.
Yeah.
So, okay, so you did that, and you still kind of worked at the garage. And there were 2 garages at Olsen Brothers.
Yeah, we had our location in Milwaukie, which I worked at on the corner of Harrison and McLaughlin. That was our Shell station, and then it became a Texaco. And then our Oak Grove location, which was a Texaco, and then we opened up a tire center there.
I see, and that was your dad that started it?
Yeah, Norris.
And his
Brother, Gordon.
Okay,
Yeah.
Norris and Gordon
Yeah.
brothers.
And then there's a 3rd brother, that's Alan. He came in 1968.
Working for the garage.
Yeah, in Oak Grove, yeah. He was the business part of it.
Ah, okay. And were they here already, or how did your family come to Milwaukie?
Well, the Olsen, there was 13 boys, and they were in North Dakota, Fargo, and then that was during the Depression, and so my grandfather was the only one who left. He came to Milwaukie, but my dad didn't come with him. So Gordon and my grandmother came here. They actually moved into Bell Station. He rented an apartment there in Bell Station, and they stayed there for quite some time, and then he followed here. He was a carpenter, and so my dad was in junior high school, and then my grandfather started getting sick, and my grandfather went back to North Dakota and got my dad and told him he needed to come here, so he went to Milwaukie High School as a freshman.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
And so your family's from North Dakota?
Yeah, originally. Well, yeah. I mean, before that, we were, we're like Laplanders, we're from Norway or
Oh, yeah.
Finland. Yeah.
So you got
Yeah,
that.
so we're 4 Spins, yeah.
I love Northern European
Yeah.
people. That's my 2,000 years ago. That's my background too.
Yeah.
When they conquered Rome.
Ah.
So your grandfather was the first generation that came to Milwaukie.
Yes.
Okay, and so they moved here in the, what was that, in the 40s?
Well, let's see, my dad was born in 31, so he was probably 15, so that'd be 46.
Okay, yeah.
Probably right around there.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
So what do you think their life was like when they first came here? Were they in the community? Were they?
Well, my grandfather, this is my grandfather Olsen, he was quite a builder here. Oh yeah, he built all the homes on Lake Road.
Oh, wow.
So he rotated between the Italians. So he built homes over in Lake Oswego. So he got established here in Milwaukie, building homes. And then it's kind of like nationalities. He would be moving according to the nationality of who he was working for. So he built Hudson House.
That's where my dad worked.
Yeah, on 17th Avenue. It was the largest tilt-up building this side of the Mississippi.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it took 3 years to build that, and that was his job. He was the owner-operator of that company that built that. It was a big job. And he built the first Milwaukie Lutheran Church right across the street from Milwaukie High School. And so
there's no church now, or?
no, the new Milwaukie Lutheran is on Lake Road.
Okay, so I see,
Yeah.
by Boss, I think it is, or something.
Yeah, pretty close to that.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
And so you told me that they weren't so much involved in the community things that, like the festival days and things like that.
Yeah,
Like
they
you
had
are.
those then. Yeah,
Yes.
right. Exactly.
So tell me a little bit about your community stuff here in Milwaukie.
Yeah.
When did you start?
Well, that I kind of told you a little bit about the Olsen side of me.
Uh-huh.
So, but the Mullen side has deep roots in Milwaukee too.
Oh,
So my grandfather, Leonard Mullen, he was city manager of Milwaukee. He was the mayor of Milwaukee. And he owned Mullen's Garage on the corner of Harrison and McLaughlin, where my dad took over leasing that and made it Olsen Brothers Shell. So my grandfather was, he was like, just a good old guy that tried to get things going for the city. So he was quite involved in the city.
oh, he was.
Yeah.
Like you, huh?
Well,
Yeah.
Kind of,
When,
yeah.
But when did you first get involved? Well, how old were you about?
well, I'm not sure exactly what year it was, but I was working at the Milwaukee station, and my dad had just retired, and my Uncle Gordon, and so I was down there working that and running it and running Oak Grove with my business. I have a business partner, Dan Baldwin.
Okay.
But I went down to the Milwaukee station and worked down there, and then that's when we started the Milwaukee Downtown Association.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so I was on the very beginning of that planning deal. Saw a couple directors come through with that, and then Jack Elder came along, and he kind of was like one of those people that got some things moving and going.
He was great at
So
that.
I always take credit for Jim Bernard's history, because it was me who pushed him into that community service, because he wouldn't volunteer for any boards or anything, and I kept knocking on his door when I would go to a Milwaukee Downtown Association meeting, and I'd go in his office and I'd say, come on, let's go over to this and have lunch and learn what we're doing here. Oh, I don't have time for that. And I'd say, well, yeah, you do. Come on, let's go to this meeting. And at that meeting, we nominated and elected him to the president of the Milwaukee Downtown Association, which was the best thing we could have done. And, Jim has really done a lot of good things. He helped us instrument the murals on the buildings, the plants, all the trees that we planted on Main Street. We had committees for that. Mm-hmm. And he watered those trees after we planted those. And then ran for mayor and was elected, and then re-ran, and then now he's retired, but he went up to Clackamas County, and so I always say that his political ambitions were all brought by me. Yeah.
And I say it was me because he came to me and said, should I do this? And
Yeah. Okay, well, I'll give it to you. It's all good. Maybe it was a little bit of both.
no, it was the both of us.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
And let's see. So you talked about your grandparents and your parents and a little bit about yourself, because I know you've been involved in a lot of major things that have happened in Milwaukee, the festival days. And how was the festival days for you growing up? Was it a big deal?
We came down to it just because,
The family?
yeah, well, my grandparents just lived up on Monroe Street, and so I was always there as a kid growing up, and I was the kid that my parents would drop me off on Friday afternoon and my bicycle, and my grandparents wouldn't see me except when it was time to eat, and I was down at the Milwaukie boat ramp, walking out on the log booms and,
The trestle?
yeah, just doing, stuff as a kid
Yeah.
that, you just used to do, I guess.
That's what we all do.
Yeah. So, I pretty much, got out of Milwaukie Grammar. Dave Houston and I went to school together, so we'd walk over to the bowling alley and walk to my grandma's house till, we got picked up. And so the Milwaukie Festival days, it's just been part of it, but
Part of your life?
yeah, because downtown shopping was important back then. Everybody went downtown Milwaukie to, get their prescriptions filled by Arlie, or go over to Cooper's and get their meat, or,
Swim in the pool at the junior high.
Olsen's for get our colored uniforms for PE.
Ah, yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Gold maroon. Yeah.
Well, I went to St. John's, but still we went there to get
Yeah, exactly. They had them all in the back on the wall. So, being part of that, and then we always put up the barricades. So I don't even know when we started, but it was probably in the early 80s, and our company set those barricades up every year ever since. With
Nice.
when I became a Rotarian, I asked my Rotarian friends if they want to help, so we made it a community project. So that was great. It was something we did, and then we put a float in the parade, and we were always the last
that was
float.
nice.
Yeah, we were always the last float, because that way we would pick the barricades up as we went past. And so.
It was great. I missed the festival days.
Well, there's no reason they shouldn't have them now. Because
Yes, but I've done my job there. I ran it 2 years in a row.
Well, somebody else can do it now. Yeah, it's your job to find your replacement. Right.
When did they stop having the festival days?
When they started tearing up the Main Street to put in the apartment condominiums.
Oh, and the Max, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
So what was that, 5 years ago?
Yeah.
probably.
7?
Yeah.
yeah.
Something like that. The festival actually started in 1946.
Wow.
And it went about 10 years, 12 years, and then it stopped a while. And then it started again, and then it stopped for a while, and then it started again in the 80s.
Yeah.
With Libby, Dave Libby.
Oh yeah, I forgot about Dave. Dave was a good guy. Yeah.
So you remember the flood of 96?
Not really. I mean, kind of, but not.
It didn't affect you at all?
No. We're like the high ground. Well, it's not our property anymore, but we were like the high ground. So that little corner on Harrison and McLaughlin was higher than the lake, and when the river came up to the bank, it didn't get to us.
Okay, just went up Kellogg, huh? That's good.
Yeah.
There's some damage. So, let's see. Name, if you can, one or two main events that happened in your life in Milwaukie that you really remember. If it's not the flood, maybe it's the Columbus Day storm, or those are the classic ones that we always tell, but other things have happened in Milwaukie too.
Yeah, I wasn't really ready for that question. So one of the main things is that, just closing down our company, that was really hard to do. My dad and his two brothers, they were retired or passed, and it was a lot of stress having two companies, and I was going back and forth, and I can just remember my dad reaching out to me and saying, hey, we want to sell the Milwaukie location, and I took that challenge on. But I've got pictures of my daughters the night before they started tearing it down. Plus we had employees that had worked for us for a long time, and so telling them that hey, we're selling the property to the city of Milwaukie, and my daughters and I came down one night and took pictures in front of the place with them because they were little, and then
So you have memory.
yeah, knocking down those bricks in the front, so that was that, we've been there a long time.
And tell, if you could, about why you sold it to the city of Milwaukie and what that whole thing.
Because it could have been a super gas station pumper, where they would have put in a big C-store on the corner of Harrison and McLaughlin, and then put big pumps in, and it would be a gas station forever. And, I just figured that the city had the property behind, which was a parking lot. It only made sense for them to own the whole block. And so it's supposed to be developed as a, 5-story building. I was on all the planning commissions.
I remember that.
And, spent hours and hours. They were gonna call it Olsen Point. And then the recession came, and they just finished the North Main project, and this was gonna be the next project. And then all of a sudden, the developer, Tom, he just pulled out. It was just too much risk.
I thought it was, he thought we were making too much demand and he wouldn't get the profit that he had hoped. But I
think it was just that he could see that there was gonna be a downslide in the economy, and he didn't want to take the risk. So, but
But he's trying
now that, yeah, maybe. But now that they've changed the road going underneath of the trestle, and that's supposed to be like the potential for the future for the market. That's what I've been told, and we'll see that there's no reason that the city shouldn't use that property to develop it and make it a nice place.
But I thought you sold it to Metro.
I did.
Okay.
But it's the city of Milwaukee's future, not Metro's.
It's
Metro
their turf. Okay.
Yeah, Metro always said they didn't want to own it. They just wanted to hold it until it was finalized.
I see.
So it's kind of a joint thing. I'm not sure exactly how that works. That wasn't my part.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, some of mine is rumor too.
But that's true.
Okay.
Yeah, they own the deed to it.
I just thought it was great that you were thinking about Milwaukie and not just your pocketbook.
Yeah.
That you did that. Thank you. It's Milwaukie, and thank you.
It's been a great piece of property. I mean, for having the Sunday market on it for all these years and all that additional parking.
Yeah, now they're moving City Hall. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see.
I didn't know they're moving City Hall.
Down north on the left-hand side, what's the name of that old building?
Advantis.
Advantis,
Credit Union, that building.
that big brick building.
Really?
Yeah, closer to Chan's.
Yeah. Across the street, right?
Yeah, and they're selling, I see they're selling Peaks Memorial.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What's it gonna be?
They haven't sold it yet.
Oh, but it's up for sale?
Yeah. So maybe you wanna buy that. What kind of cremations are in there?
No, I got enough going right now. Yeah, I'm busy.
So, have you thought about maybe one of your best memories of Milwaukie? Favorite memories, whatever?
It would probably just be that I was a free spirit as a kid, and I had the run of the town. I could go anywhere. I mean,
We all did.
yeah, getting on your bicycle and, Sunday morning at 6:30 or 7 in the morning and heading down the hill and going down there and watching the guys fishing off the log booms and walking around out there with them and going out to behind Vic's Tavern and where the marina was and walking around all those slanted old planks and, just not causing trouble, but probably close to it.
I don't remember anybody dying on those log booms or those slippery things, and they were so dangerous, really, but nobody got hurt.
Well, we're all trying to save all the kids now from their lives.
Yeah, that's what the problem is. Yeah, instead of letting them go explore and be creative, So, but I think those are some of my, good memories are just being downtown, going shopping with my mom. I don't like to shop really, but I can remember walking into Perry's Pharmacy and going out there and looking up, and Arlie had his deal and he was up there
Right.
And he looked huge with
Yeah.
his handlebar mustache
Yeah,
and talking to my mom, and I'm like looking at this guy going, and then they had a glass case that had a rotating thing that had watches in it. And I would just
that's
go
right.
over there and I'd look at those watches and think, and then, next thing I know, we go through the little door where the soda fountain was, and she'd start grocery shopping and getting her stuff, and got Saul at the gate blade. My dad would go down there because my mom would drag him down there, and he'd be marking it all up with his chopstick, and trying on sports coats and slacks, and I did it all. Moto day, I didn't have any
Well,
kids.
your childhood is a lot like mine.
So yeah, and then my dad and I were buddies. So when he'd get together with my Uncle Gordon or whoever, we'd be sliding into Red's Coach Inn, and I was probably like 15, 16 years old, and they'd huddle up next to me in the bar, and they'd just say, just be quiet, and Red would come over, and they'd tell war stories, and laugh, and I can remember.
You're one of the guys in there.
It's just my dad and I were buddies, and a funny story is Bolander. So he owned the liquor store on
Was it downtown?
yeah, it was just right.
21st?
No, it's take a left off of Main Street, Scott Street.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. So he owned the liquor store there, and my dad and I would go in there, and you weren't supposed to have kids in there in those days. And I'd go in with my dad, and he'd go over, and he drank Black Velvet, so he'd go over and get a pint, take it up, and Bolander would say, well, he says, that's $4.95 or something like that. He'd tell him, he says, well, I don't have it right now. Can you put it on my tab? And he'd get his little book out, and there was like a little page in there, and he'd write it down in there. My dad was always good for it. It's just, they didn't have a lot of money back then.
Yeah.
And then he'd say, I'd like to take Barb out to get a bite to eat. You wouldn't have $20 I could borrow with you. And he'd not only get a bottle, but he'd get $20. I love that. Just a little kid just looking up at it like, wow.
That's what small towns
Yeah,
are
that's
about.
what they did. Yeah, exactly. And my family did the same thing.
Yeah, we did too.
It's just helping out. Not everybody's got it, and if you can participate in making somebody's day better, what the heck.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. So, great. I could talk about that kind of stuff all day long.
Yeah, I can too, yeah.
Oh, Olsen's 5 and 10.
Right.
Was that any relation to you?
No, people always ask, but no.
Yeah, no. It was fun shop to I could spend hours in there.
Yeah, well, they had everything.
Yeah, not that I had any money.
Right.
So, anything else you want to add? Anything I'm missing?
No, I'm just listening.
No.
It's really good.
Yeah, just,
Okay.
Champ always says, hey, your dad and me, we started this company at the same time, 1957, and, we've just been around for quite a while and still active.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Okay, well, this is going to be, when we get this all together, it'll be a documentary that we're going to show on the 120th anniversary of the city of Milwaukie.
Okay.
Its birthday, so to speak. So, if you wouldn't mind giving them a nice happy birthday to Milwaukie, or whatever you want to say.
Yeah, well, happy birthday, City of Milwaukie. It's been a pleasure growing up here in this community, and I'm looking forward to a lot more years of hanging out and being involved.
Wonderful.
That's
All right.
great. Thank you.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, no problem.
And we've got these to go with it too. This is